Freeze for a moment and listen to the pulse of the African savanna. Here, in the golden haze of sleeping grasses, where the air trembles with the midday heat, lives a ghost of the distant past. Looking at it, we see only a heavy, lumbering mountain of flesh, encased in coarse, cracked skin, a living tank, a relict creature whose intellect seems as limited as its tiny, perpetually squinted eyes. We are accustomed to calling it nearsighted, clumsy, and even stupid. But what if I told you that you are looking at the most perfect system administrator of the wild? That this 3-ton giant lives in a world of augmented reality so complex that our human perception seems like a black and white silent film by comparison. Imagine a world where vision is merely an auxiliary, highly unreliable tool. For the rhinoceros, light is noise that interferes with seeing the true essence of things. Its reality is woven from molecules, invisible emanations, and chemical codes. While we blindly rely on our eyes, the rhino scans the space with a nose that is technically more powerful than any supercomputer created in Silicon Valley. We see a dusty trail, but it sees a multi-layered information highway. At the center of this system lies something that will shock you. We call it a dung heap, but for the rhino, it is a shared wall, a social network that has existed for millions of years. These locations, called Middens by scientists, are not simply waste products. They are the server stations of a biological internet. Approaching such a heap, the rhino performs a ritual whose complexity is comparable to browsing a decade's worth of a newsfeed. A single deep breath, and terabytes of data flood into its brain, as if through a fiber optic cable. Its vomeronasal organ, a highly complex pheromone detector, performs a full spectrum of chemical analysis in a fraction of a second. Who passed by here 3 hours ago? Was it an old dominant male whose strength is fading, or a young female whose hormonal levels signal readiness to reproduce? What is the health status of this peer? What did it eat for breakfast 10 kilometers to the north? The rhino reads the chemical composition of the dung as we read fresh newspaper headlines. This is a database that never lies. Here, you cannot pretend to be someone else or put a fake filter on your life. The dung heap is the most honest confession in the natural world. At that moment, the blind animal receives a 3-dimensional 3D picture of the entire area. It knows the exact alignment of forces within a 20-kilometer radius without even lifting its head. While we laugh at the fact that a rhino cannot see a human from 30 meters away, it has already read your presence, your fear, your adrenaline, and even the brand of your deodorant from a single molecule carried by a stray gust of wind. It doesn't just smell a scent, it visualizes it. In its mind, aromas take on shape, color, and depth. It is a world where every bush, every stone, and every living creature leaves behind a trail of data, interwoven into an incredible information web. This Mesozoic-era dung internet of Mark Zuckerberg allows rhinos to avoid unnecessary conflicts and find partners across vast territories. It is an ideal mechanism of social management, completely free of human chaos. We are accustomed to believing that technology is a human prerogative, but the rhino has been using cloud data storage for 15 million years. Its world is a continuous stream of information, where the past, present, and future merge into a single chemical map. Ponder this paradox. Before you is a creature that can barely distinguish the features of the landscape, yet navigates space with the precision of a ballistic missile. Its cognitive abilities are directed not toward analyzing visual images, but toward decoding molecular structures. This is a different type of mind, sensory, subtle, and all-encompassing. When a rhino stands motionless, staring into nothingness, it is not asleep. At that moment,
it is downloading a system update. It is listening to the pulse of the Earth and analyzing the composition of the atmosphere. Millions of years of evolution have honed this living sensor, turning the rhino into the absolute master of the information field. And while we, armed with cameras and binoculars, try to see a relic of the past in it, it observes us with bewilderment from its augmented reality. Strange creatures who rely so heavily on vision, yet understand so little of the true essence of what surrounds them. We protect a wild animal without realizing that we are protecting a highly complex bioengineering system whose communication secrets we are only beginning to comprehend. The rhino is not just flesh and bones. It is a living interface between earth and sky, an ancient and wise guardian of the planet's first global network. And if vision is merely an annoying obstacle to it, it is only because it sees far more than we can fathom. If you could touch this giant, your hand would feel more than just the cold surface of toughened flesh. Under your fingers would lie a living membrane, a highly complex bioengineering interface hidden beneath 5 centimeters of armor. We are accustomed to calling this skin, but for the rhino, its outer shell is a colossal sensory antenna, finely tuned to the rhythms of the planet itself. This is the greatest paradox of evolution. A creature encased in shields that can withstand the strike of a lion's claw or the brunt of thorny bushes possesses a touch more delicate and precise than the fingertips of a professional pianist. Every fold of this armor is threaded with a dense network of nerve endings. The rhino does not simply feel a touch. It perceives the vibrations of the soil, turning into a living seismograph.
When a herd of elephants walks across the savanna, or a heavy predator stalks several kilometers away, the earth trembles at frequencies inaccessible to our hearing. But the rhino reads these micro-vibrations with its feet and skin, building in its mind a tactile map of threats long before the danger appears on the horizon. But let us lift our gaze higher, to the most mysterious and fatal object in the natural world, the horn. Peer at its texture. It is not bone, not a skull outgrowth, and not a tusk. Before you is a masterpiece of biological polymerization. It is pure keratin, the exact same protein that makes up your hair and nails. But imagine that nature took billions of these fibers and compressed them with monstrous force, infusing them with calcium salts and melanin. The result is a material that rivals stone in hardness, yet remains biologically alive in structure, capable of self-healing. If a rhino damages its horn in a fierce clash, it does not remain crippled. The keratin layers will begin to grow again, layer by layer, restoring the fearsome weapon. This is biological high-tech. The horn is perfectly balanced. It does not interfere with running, but upon impact, it concentrates the energy of a 3-ton body into a single point, turning into an armor-piercing projectile. The tragedy of this material is that humanity has endowed it with a mythical price. On the black markets, this compressed hair is valued higher than the purest gold, higher than the rarest diamonds. We kill the pinnacle of sensory evolution for what is technically just a very dense hairstyle. Yet for the owner itself, the horn is not an ornament or merely a dagger. It is a navigation tool and a lever of colossal strength, allowing it to rip open the earth in search of minerals or uproot trees to reach succulent greenery. Now notice its ears. These tufted funnels are in constant motion, rotating independently of one another by 180 degrees, like radar dishes at a top-secret base. But the rhino does not simply listen to the rustling of grass. Its true gift is hidden beyond the threshold of human perception. It is a master of infrasound. While we enjoy the singing of birds, the rhino is immersed in the low-frequency hum of the savanna. It hears the rumble of an approaching storm hundreds of kilometers away,
It catches the infrasonic signals of other rhinos traveling through dense thickets and rocky ridges without fading. This is the voice of whales brought onto land. When a male sounds an alarm or a female calls her calf, they use frequencies below 20 Hz. This sound is not just an acoustic wave, it is physical pressure that literally pierces space. Because of this, the rhino is never alone in an informational sense. Even if there is not a single living soul in sight, its ears scan the invisible ether, receiving messages from peers over the horizon. This anatomy is not a collection of random traits, but a finely tuned system of superpowers. The rhino's eyes are indeed weak, but why would you need sharp vision if you live inside a sphere woven from sounds and vibrations? Imagine this perception. You stand at the center of the world, and your body is a receiver. Your skin tells you about the movement of the soil to the east. Your ears broadcast infrasonic dispatches from the west, and your nose, of which we spoke earlier, completes the picture with a chemical analysis of the atmosphere. This is no primitive beast from a prehistoric era. It is a high-tech biological hub where ancient instincts are connected to the latest generation of sensory detectors. Its skin is armor turned into a nerve. Its horn is keratin gold turned into a survival tool. Its hearing is radio communication piercing the silence. When this giant moves through the brush, it doesn't just walk, it probes reality with every cell of its body, with every millimeter of its unique armor, proving that true power lies not in the volume of muscle, but in an incredible sensitivity to every breath of the surrounding world. This creature sees the earth not with its eyes, but with its entire being, transforming every step into an act of the deepest cognition of the universe, in which it is simultaneously a tank and the finest measuring instrument. Look at it once more. Does this look like an error of nature? No, it is her highest design, clothed in the gray granite of living flesh, where every element of anatomy serves a single purpose: to make the impossible possible, turning a nearsighted giant into the most well-informed inhabitant of the African expanses. And now, let me tear the gray mask of a prehistoric monster from this giant and show you something truly stunning. If we peer into the genetic code of the rhino, if we trace the threads of its lineage through the depths of millions of years, we will not see elephants or hippos. We will discover a horse. Genetically, this 3-ton colossus is the closest relative of the graceful Arabian stallion and the striped zebra. Imagine the elegant swiftness of a horse, which nature decided to melt down, strip of fragility, and encase in an ultra-durable shell, while preserving the sensitive soul of an inhabitant of open spaces. The rhino is not a tank. It is the heavy cavalry of evolution, inside whose chest beats the heart of a timid and incredibly devoted creature. This paradigm shift becomes even deeper when we begin to hear its voice. We are used to the idea that such giants are only capable of a deafening roar or fierce snorting. But listen to the silence next to a resting herd of white rhinos. In moments of absolute peace and safety, this fearsome beast begins to purr.
It is a deep, vibrating sound, resembling the rumble of a massive cat, only amplified by the power of a 3-ton chest. And when the rhino is happy, when it meets an old friend or plays, it emits high-pitched, melodic sounds, eerily similar to the whistle of a dolphin. This contrast between an armored exterior and an incredibly fine acoustic spectrum is one of the most touching revelations of the wild. In their world, social intelligence is valued no less than the sharpness of a horn. Rhinos are not the sullen loners our imagination paints them to be. This is especially true of white rhinos, who have created a complex system of collective survival.
They have genuine nurseries, groups of adolescents and females that stick together for safety. But at the head of this hierarchy stands not the strongest fighter, but the wisest and most experienced matriarch. Old females in the rhino world are the living libraries of the savanna. They keep in their memory the maps of waterholes that do not dry up even in the most severe droughts. They know trails hidden from the eyes of predators, and it is they who become mentors for the young. Look at their greeting ceremony. When two giants meet on the boundary of their territories or within a group, they do not rush into battle. They freeze, and then slowly approach to touch noses. At that moment, something greater than a simple touch occurs. It is an act of the deepest trust and data exchange. Through touch and sniffing, they synchronize their states, exchange chemical markers, and confirm their social status. It is a complex ballet of respect where every movement of the head, every exhalation holds meaning. They recognize each other by face, or rather by scent and sound, even after many years of separation. The rhino's intelligence manifests in its ability to learn and its incredible memory for personal relationships. They are capable of forming deep attachments not only to their peers, but to other species as well.
Stories of friendships between rhinos and the humans who rescued them are countless. These giants remember kindness for decades, responding to it with dog-like devotion, letting themselves be scratched behind the ear and offering their sensitive flanks for affection. It is a world where behind the armor hides a vulnerable psyche that demands communication and confirmation of its belonging to the group. Moreover, rhinos possess what we might call a culture of passing down experience. Young individuals do not simply follow their mother on instinct. They actively mimic her behavior, learn to recognize the signals of oxpecker birds, master the rules of using the Dung internet, and memorize the boundaries of what is permitted in communication with dominant individuals. These are not merely biological machines programmed for food and reproduction. They are creatures with a rich emotional palette, capable of grief, joy, and self-sacrifice. When you see this colossus freeze at sunset, staring into the emptiness with its nearsighted eyes, know this: at that moment, it is not simply resting. It is immersed in a complex social context. It is listening to the infrasonic whispers of its neighbors, feeling the warmth of its peers, and drawing upon the colossal experience of its ancestors. The rhino is a triumph not of brute force, but of social memory. It is a huge, armored horse that learned to survive in a brutal world, turning its solitude into a deep, subtle connection with every living creature in its habitat. We long considered them a relic of the past, but in truth, they are a masterpiece of emotional and social adaptation, one we have yet to fully catch up to in our understanding of life on this planet. Peer into this trembling haze over the scorched earth. It seems there is nothing there but dry grass and motionless stones. But beware, the savanna is full of illusions, and the most dangerous of them is looking straight at you right now, remaining completely invisible. The rhino is a true master of mimicry, an invisible fighter whose camouflage has been brought to perfection by evolution. When you see a giant covered from head to toe in a crust of dried mud, do not be quick to dismiss it as primitive hygiene. These mud baths are a high-tech ritual. A layer of wet clay drying on 5-centimeter skin turns into an ideal smart suit. It acts as a sunscreen with SPF 50, saving the delicate, capillary-rich skin from scorching ultraviolet rays. It serves as an insurmountable barrier for blood-sucking insects. But most importantly, it makes the 3-ton mass indistinguishable from a termite mound or a rocky ledge. In the dusty haze of the African midday, the rhino simply dissolves, disappearing from the visual spectrum, turning into a ghost woven from gray dust and shadows. And in this silence lies the beginning of its famous tactic
of active defense. We are accustomed to calling this blind rage, but behind every sudden charge stands the cold logic of survival. Since the rhino's vision is limited to only a couple of dozen meters, it does not wait for the enemy to strike. It strikes first. For the rhino, any unidentified movement, any sharp sound, or any suspicious chemical trail is a direct declaration of war. In its world, the concept of compromise does not exist. If an object is too close, it must be destroyed or knocked over. That is precisely why rhinos, with terrifying resolve, attack passing trains, lone trees, or giant termite mounds. This is not stupidity. It is a preemptive strike. A 3-ton projectile accelerating to 50 kilometers per hour possesses kinetic energy capable of crumpling steel plates or ripping a tree out by its roots. When the rhino lowers its head for an attack, it transforms into a living battering ram, virtually impossible to stop. At that moment, its primary weapon, the Keratin horn, comes into play. Look at it not as a trophy, but as an engineering marvel.
It is not just a sword. It is a colossal biological lever. Using neck muscles whose power is comparable to a hydraulic press, the rhino wedges beneath an obstacle from below. Cases have been documented where enraged males easily flipped jeeps and even multi-ton trucks simply by sliding the horn under the chassis and making one sharp upward thrust. This is pure physics multiplied by fury. The horn concentrates all the power of its body into a single point, turning a soft touch into a devastating breakthrough. But how does a blind fighter know exactly when it is time to join the battle? In this, it is aided by a unique alliance, the most effective outsourcing in the wild. On the giant's back, one can almost always see bustling birds, oxpeckers. To us, they are just feathered companions, but for the rhino, they are an external early warning system, its living eyes. While the colossus sleeps or peacefully grazes, immersed in its infrasonic thoughts, the oxpeckers scan the horizon. They possess sharp vision and instantaneous reactions. The moment a human, a lion, or a suspicious movement in the bushes appears within line of sight, the birds take flight with a sharp, piercing cry. This signal is broadcast directly into the rhino's sensitive ears. It doesn't just hear the cry, it understands its meaning. It is the command to battle. At that very second, the 3-ton mountain of muscle leaps up, spinning on the spot with the grace of a dancer. The rhino does not search for the enemy with its eyes. It has already caught their direction with its nose and ears, receiving target designation from its feathered guardians. This is an incredibly effective combat unit, invisible because of dust, warned by birds, protected by armor, and armed with a Keratin lever. Its strategy is to turn weakness into strength. It compensates for nearsightedness with aggression, slowness with an explosive sprint, and skin vulnerability with a mud shell. To watch a rhino at the moment of attack is to see the earth itself set in motion. This is no chaotic run. It is a directed explosion. Each of its steps shakes the soil, sending microseismic waves that paralyze the opponent's will. In this tactic, there is no room for doubt. The rhino is the embodiment of the principle, the best defense is offense. It lives in a state of constant readiness for battle, turning the surrounding space into a zone of its absolute dominance. And woe to those who mistake its immobility for passivity, and its dusty camouflage for an absence of threat. Beneath the layer of dry mud hides the most resolute warrior of the Savanna, ready at any second to turn a peaceful panorama into a field of devastating battle. Gaze into the contours of this grey giant, frozen against the backdrop of a blood-red African sunset. We have spent thousands of years trying to conquer it, and hundreds of years methodically destroying it. The irony of our civilization has reached its pinnacle right here, in the dust of the Savanna, where the crown of biological evolution clashed with bottomless human greed. The tragedy of the rhino is contained in a single short word: value. But not that noble value measured by contribution to the biosphere or the complexity of neural connections. We have endowed its horn with a price tag that has turned a living being into a walking safe, a living target whose flesh is worth less than the keratin outgrowth on its nose. On the black markets of Asia and at underground auctions, this compressed hair, a pure biological illusion, is valued higher than the purest gold and higher than refined cocaine. Gram for gram, rhino horn has become the most expensive substance on the planet. Overtaking diamonds and platinum, we kill a 3-ton giant possessing a unique social mind for what is technically identical to your clipped fingernails. This is the greatest and bloodiest paradox in the history of our relationship with nature.
Every slaughter is not just the death of an animal. It is an act of vandalism against a biological masterpiece that was perfected over 15 million years. Yet in this bleak darkness, something utterly unimaginable is being born. To save this ancient creature from ourselves, we have begun turning it into a technological object. Today, the rhino is no longer just a wild animal. It is a cyborg at the cutting edge of scientific and technological progress. Scientists and conservationists have taken a desperate step. Microscopic cameras are implanted into the horns of living giants, capable of broadcasting real-time footage, turning the rhino's weapon into its personal video surveillance system. GPS trackers and heart rate sensors are embedded in its body, instantly transmitting an alarm to a satellite if the giant's pulse spikes from fear or pain. We have gone even further, entering the realm of science fiction. To collapse the black market, laboratories around the world have begun 3D printing horns from synthetic keratin, identical to the natural kind on a molecular level. We are trying to outsmart greed with technology, flooding the market with counterfeits to save those who are still breathing in the Savanna. It is an amazing and chilling sight, an ancient beast whose appearance has not changed for epochs, now carries chips, cameras, and sensors. We are forced to surround it with digital armor because its own 5-centimeter skin proved powerless against a bullet. And here we arrive at the ultimate revelation. Behind this futuristic armor, behind the layer of dry mud, and behind the fearsome keratin lever, still beats the heart of that very same 3-ton horse. A creature that wants to be neither a tank, nor a cyborg, nor a symbol of someone's status. It wants only one thing: to be left in peace in its dung internet. The rhino is a living reminder that true power always coexists with extreme fragility.
Its strength is absolute in the natural world, but it is nothing in the face of human madness. The philosophical conclusion of the rhino's existence on our planet is far deeper than it seems at first glance. When we look at it, we look into the mirror of our own past and, perhaps, our future. We protect its armor. We implant electronics into it, but we often forget that inside this gray granite lives a unique branch of consciousness, a mind that perceives the world in all its fullness, through the infrasonic whispers of the earth and chemical posts in dung archives. This creature sees reality in 3D format without even opening its small, nearsighted eyes. If we allow this living tank to vanish forever into the dust of history, we will lose more than just a red list species. We will lose a unique way of perceiving the universe. We will go deaf to infrasound. We will go blind to the chemical wisdom of the ages. The world will become flat, stripped of that very same augmented reality that the rhino has been creating for millions of years. Saving the rhino is not a question of ecology. It is a question of our own dignity. Can we coexist with a mind so unlike our own? Can we leave this timid, purring, and incredibly gentle creature in peace
letting it continue to read its molecular news at sunset. Remember this the next time you see footage of this giant. Before you is not a relict monster. Before you is a highly complex bioengineering hub, a carrier of an ancient internet, and a soul clothed in indestructible, yet so vulnerable armor. The rhino is a call to humility. It is proof that there are worlds on Earth we are only beginning to comprehend, and if we destroy them, we will be left in an empty, sterile silence, where no one else will answer our call with their subtle infrasonic whisper. Ultimately, by saving the rhino, we save that part of ourselves still capable of marveling at the unseen and hearing the unheard.
This is our last chance to prove that we are worthy of being neighbors to this astonishing 3-ton, Savanna-loving giant.